everyone, my name's Shannon. I'm the Managing Director of 10 Yetis. This is the first podcast that we have tried, so let's see how this pans out. Today's podcast, we're going to talk about how public relations and social media can work well together and why it's important to kind of consider both when you're looking at your marketing campaigns. So I am joined by Jam, who is our social media account exec.
Hi guys.
So I've been with the agency for about 11 years now, and when I started off, obviously we mostly did public relations campaigns, but we've grown to have other departments as well, because we started to realise that where you had like a PR campaign, there was often need for a social media element or a video element. So now we have all of those services so that we can provide those for clients. So the cross-platform campaigns that we do for clients, just to give you a little example of that, it might be something like a widget or an online tool that we develop and to try and get media coverage for a client. And from my point of view, where social media comes into that is that it's great for kind of sharing those tools or those really good pieces of content to try and get more eyes on it. And also often when one of our clients gets really good PR coverage for a big tool like that, we'll talk to our social media team if they're dealing with the social account for that, or if they're dealing with that social in-house, we'll then pass that on so that they can talk about it and try and get more people to use it and just more traffic to that page.
No, yeah, it's definitely a good way to increase the reach of coverage and features and widgets, and you get a live response from the audience. So whether that's likes, comments, shares, you get a good level of engagement, and it's something that's pretty instant as well.
And I think a lot of the briefs that we get from clients on the PR side now are PR for SEO campaigns. So we'll get clients coming to us and just asking for links. That's all they care about. You know, it's not so much about getting a big double page spread in one of the nationals. They want a really good piece of coverage on a high domain authority website and that all important follow link. And although social media have that direct impact on SEO, it has an indirect impact on it by, like Jan was just saying, if you get more people driven to it via social media, it's going to help the traffic for that online tool or that piece of content. Perhaps it's a page that you're hosting a video on, and that kind of traffic uplift is all going to have a positive knock-on effect. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like using social media to spread that message as well. It's just a good way to narrow down your audience. You can, whether it's organic or paid, just another tool to your armory, really.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I also wanted to go over was in terms of how with crisis communications, social media can play a really important part in that. So for example, a lot of media will pick up on negative things that are happening on social media. So they might see that somebody had a complaint about a company and has gone public on Twitter or another platform. So it's really important, I guess, for the social teams to kind of look at that and lock it down quite quickly and move the conversation offline. So Jam, I guess you've got a lot of experience with kind of keeping an eye out for things like this.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, it's just a way to keep an eye out to see how your releases are doing and how your PR activity is doing. And if it's not working as if you wanted it to, you can easily manage it. If you want to take a conversation that's public into your private messages, you can do that and hopefully address the situation a bit better.
So what's like the steps that you guys take? I mean, I know them, but just for the benefit of everyone else, the steps that you kind of take if there was, one of the client accounts that you were looking after, there was a really negative conversation happening, which, media could quickly pick up on that in terms of, somebody having quite a serious complaint, and what kind of steps do you then take to move that conversation away from the public eye and try and control it?
Yeah, so really it is just getting to the situation as soon as possible and then taking it offline as quickly as we can. So we've got to try and keep the person who has the complaint or the issue happy so it doesn't spread any further, and then seeing if we can adjust the situation through private messaging, emails, just so it's not visible to everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think the media are using social platforms more and more to find their stories, whether that's, the good, the bad, the ugly. They're kind of looking to those sources for new news essentially. So I think it's really, I guess that kind of brings me on to a good point in terms of it's kind of seeding out a story through social. So obviously you're going to have the PR team working on getting those stories in front of journalists, but another good way to kind of make sure that happens is to kind of share things out on social so that journalists are potentially from there. Or also, for example, you get a great piece of coverage on one big national newspaper website, perhaps you then share that on your social channels, and that kind of gets more out into the public eye, and then journalists from other publications might see that if they haven't already seen it directly on that competitor outlet, and then they might pick it up from there to turn it into a story as well. We see that quite often. With the news agenda, you'll often see one publication referencing another publication as the source, according to the Sun or according to the Mail Online or something like that. I think that's a really
like a domino effect when
exactly that. So I think that's where it's important to kind of have your PR team and your social team working together and making sure that you're sharing these good pieces of coverage out, because you don't know what kind of snowball effect that could have.
So another way to boost brand awareness with PR is through press releases, obviously, and it's just a good way to subtly get your brand out there and improve brand awareness. So whilst doing that, you can then combine social media with that to drive your traffic and drive sales, if that is the metric you're looking to get.
One of the other things that I think ties in well to the media looking to social for stories is not just the things that are going wrong or the negatives, it's also the fun kind of positive things that are happening. So I remember not too long ago, I think it was a kind of standoff between like Domino's and Pizza Hut, and they were kind of going up against each other on social because somebody had a bad experience with one of them and the takeaway hadn't arrived on time or something like that, and then the other one jumped in and as a random act of kindness they kind of sent them a takeaway, like as if they were coming to the rescue, and it kind of got played out on Twitter, I think it was, and it's just that then got picked up by the media. So it's kind of these naturally occurring stories as well that can kind of make their way into the press for your brand. So I think if you're doing something clever on social, that can again turn into a really good PR story for you.
So yeah, random acts of kindness is a great way to just get your brand out there whilst piggybacking on other competitors' negative stories, maybe like the Pizza Hut and Domino's example Shannon's just said. Just a great way to improve your visibility and your brand awareness.
One of the things that we do a lot of are PR campaigns that require the public's input in some way. So maybe you need them to submit a picture for like a pitch competition, or maybe it's a best job in the world type stunt that we need applications for, or it could just be something as simple as a competition. So basically, the role that then social obviously plays in that is, yes, we could, if the prize is good enough, we could get that competition or job stunt coverage in the media, but to kind of kickstart it off and get more applications coming through, you can then obviously use social to create some good content around it on there and try and have like a call to action for people to apply. So I think that's really important to kind of consider with any kind of PR campaign you're doing, if you need the public to get on board. And then it gives that opportunity for a follow-up story as well. So quite often if it's a job stunt or something like that, we'll then talk about, once we've hit a certain number of applications, that then gives the opportunity for another story. And then obviously once you've selected the winner, that's a kind of third bite at the cherry there as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, yeah, once these stunts do go live, it gives it's a great angle for social, because then you can then tune into social listening, which is good for branding, obviously, because then you can interact with each and every one of your applicants in the comment section, and it just gives that personal feel to your brand, really.
Yeah, and I guess you would probably look to do something like, creating, if it was a competition that was aimed at a certain demographic, with things like Facebook ads, you can really drill down into target audiences, can't you? So maybe add opportunities to kind of promote that a bit more and get more eyes on it.
No, yeah, definitely. And even so, you could do it across Facebook alone, but then depending on the angle of the story or the competition, you can then spread it over different social platforms. Like, for example, Twitter is more of B2B platform. So if you are looking to target businesses or professionals, you can just change your ad strategy onto Twitter, or LinkedIn as well would be a great one for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, while we're talking about social media as a whole, I think it's important to make sure that although you're using it to complement your PR strategy, every channel is different and has slightly different audiences and stuff. So I guess it is important to make sure you've taken that into account and maybe editing the content slightly that you're sharing out in the way that you're doing it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
One of the other really good things about social media when it comes to your PR campaigns is you can also use it to find what journalists are working on. For example, on Twitter, there's a really good hashtag, which is #JourneyRequest. If you follow that hashtag, you'll often find journalists looking for experts or products or just general data or information to add into their stories. So it's a really good one to follow. And similarly, just kind of get to know those journalists on Twitter or other platforms, maybe even LinkedIn, connect with them and try and just build that rapport with them in terms of finding out how you can get together in the best way, let them know what kind of clients you've got and things like that. And so I guess, Jan, there are really good ways of kind of like building those kind of lists and stuff on there to make sure you're monitoring it, or like tools that you can use to make it all nice in one place. Social
media is also a great way to track the journalists you want to work with, or journalists you looking to outreach to. You can use tools such as Hootsuite to track hashtags and journal requests. You can also use Twitter lists as well. It's a great way to store the journalists you follow, or the different media pages you're looking to outreach to. So yeah, that's just another great way to outreach to different journalists.
Yeah, I use Twitter lists quite a lot. It's really good for kind of, even breaking it down into certain sectors of the media and kind of trying to keep track of it for certain clients and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good.
So yeah, that's a quick overview of how social media and PR can work together in many different ways. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you again.
Hi guys, thank you.
Yeah guys.